Welcome to Latin American Voices, where we explore thinkers who challenge our understanding of human dignity and social justice. Today we examine the work of Mariana Enriquez, an Argentine writer and journalist whose literature of terror exposes the violence, inequality, and gender injustice that haunt our region.
Mariana Enriquez is one of the most important contemporary Latin American writers. Her book, Things We Lost in the Fire, published in 2016, uses horror not as a fantasy, but as a mirror of social trauma.
Exactly, as she says, it's a combination of realistic horror and supernatural horror, where one is the mirror of the other. Her stories deal with gender-based violence, poverty and marginalization, disappearances, urban decay, and social indifference.
Through horror, she touches the core of human dignity, revealing what happens when societies normalize fear and brutality.
Enriquez believes horror is a political tool. In an article published by the New York Times, the author states, "Fear is one of the essential and fundamental emotions. There are other terrors we live every day. Poverty, the slow disappearances of middle class, bureaucracy, permanent economic instability, exile, bureaucracy, crime, misery, and repression."
Her stories denounce the social conditions that destroy dignity, such as violence against women, impunity, class segregation, and state abandonment.
She doesn't invent monsters, she reveals the real ones, as she writes in The Things We Lost in the Fire. Reality is much more frightening than anything I could write.
And this is where her work becomes relevant for social justice. Enriquez forces readers to confront the everyday violence that many societies choose not to see.
Her work can be linked with Michael Foucault's concept of biopower, how institutions regulate bodies and decide whose lives matter.
And also to Achille Mbembe's necropolitics, which argues that modern states create zones where people are allowed to die.
Enriquez shows these death zones in her fiction: burned woman, missing girl, and neighbors ruled by fear.
Her stories become an extension of these theories, revealing how marginalized bodies, especially women, are systematically exposed to violence.
One of the most powerful histories is The House of Adela. On the surface, it's about a haunted house, but in reality, it's about how the violence consumed girls in Latin America.
Adela is a girl surrounded by a society that cannot protect her. The abandoned house becomes a metaphor for the state, empty, dangerous, and indifferent.
The children realize that the house hides something terrifying beneath its walls. They had seen something that no one, not even their parents, could believe that they have been inside. And it's just like communities who live with violence. They are afraid and yet unable to walk away or get away from the danger around them.
Never found her, neither alive nor dead.
This unresolved ending mirrors thousands of real disappearances in Latin America. Adela becomes every girl who vanished and it's never found. Not alive, not dead, not searched by the state.
Enrique's horror feels uncomfortably familiar in Mexico. The House of Adela resembles the abandoned houses in Ecatepec, Ciudad Juárez, or Nuevo León, places where women enter and never come out.
And in Mexico, we find the most heartbreaking real world connection: the searching mother, Madres Buscadoras. They dig with sticks, shovels, and even their bare hands to find their missing children.
Their struggle is an act of radical dignity. They resist what Enriquez reveals, a society willing to forget the disappeared.
The terror in Enrique's stories is the terror these mothers live every day. They search because the state doesn't.
These mothers refuse to let their children become like Adela, swallowed by silence and erased by indifference.
Mariana Enriquez uses terror to defend human dignity. She exposes the violence that institutions normalize.
Her stories invite us not only to feel fear, but to recognize injustice and demand accountability.
Through fiction, Enriquez illuminates the world we must confront, and in doing so, she transforms literature into a tool for justice.
Through fiction, Enriquez illuminates the real horrors we must confront, and in doing so, she transformed literature into a tool for justice.